So this is what got me started. This is Nintendo Red Tint. I got this back in 2015, and it's down right now. The two of the monitors went bad. I got one of them working, but I'm waiting on a chassis for the XM 1801. So recently there's been a high score save kit that does 10 games in one. So that's kind of what I'm looking forward to doing right now. But this was rusty, disgusting when I first got it. I've sanded it down, powder coated it. Everything is original. The buttons have been polished. Everything's been cleaned. This obviously needs to be fixed. I got it all down here. Just haven't had a chance to put it all back together. So that's one. I've got 3 games down right now. That's one of them that is down. But this is the thing that got me started, was taking an old piece of crap like this and polishing it up and making it look nice. That's what got me started in all this back about 5 years ago. So the next game I got was this bad boy. I drove up to northeastern Ohio to get this, and actually drove up there for some video poker machines for my brother-in-law, and this guy had this sitting there, and he said he would sell it to me for $100. So I picked it up. It wasn't working. I ordered a board off of eBay back in the day and got it working. And this is really what really got me started in the arcade collecting restoration stuff. So, you know, I always thought it was fun to read about them and learn about them, but my brother-in-law and I would sit up and play in the garage until like 3 o'clock, battling over the high score on this thing. So we started off at like getting 15 or 20,000. Now we're up to 72,000 on the high score. So still, this is the #1 played arcade game in the room for sure. So Pac-Man. This one has a high score save kit on it. So if you hold down both the buttons, then it will play this Pac-Man, Pac-Man Plus, some other games as well. It keeps the high scores too. So, but it is all original hardware. Everything in here has a CRT in it. But this is the kind of the go-to arcade game right now, and it always has been. So that will never leave for sure. So next, Missile Command. Actually got this. I traded a guy a Robotron for this. So Robotron was game winner for a long time. I liked it, but the things that end up staying are the games that everybody else likes. So my brother-in-law likes this. He likes this, so we decided this is something we were going to pick up. So I traded the Robotron for this. The guy came and actually delivered this to me, picked up my Robotron, and it was kind of easy for me. But haven't put a lot of time on this. Only thing I need to do is do some repair on the marquee light, coin door light, some stuff like that. But the game plays well. Haven't had any issues with it so far. So next, Space That, 1981, I think. So this is actually a game that I looked for years, and I need to replace a cherry button on it. There's lots of projects. You guys know this stuff is never done. So I bought this off a guy in Ohio. I actually traded him an Outrun Cabaret and a Tempest that was converted to a Major Havoc. Didn't have a board, but anyway, so it's something I really wanted. It's not. It looks great here. The side of it's a little bit messed up, a little bit of water damage on the bottom, but still something I'm really proud of to have. It's a fun game to play. So it's also one that will never leave. So Wizard of War. I got this about 6 months ago. It was trashed. Monitor was necked. It had a 4600 in it. It has no back door. It didn't have the monitor shroud on the back, so the monitor was necked. So put a new monitor in it. I got the board working, and then it stopped working, and then working again, and then stopped working. So I sent it off to Jason Kopp. Jason Kopp got it fixed for me. It's sitting over there on the shelf. I just need to throw it back in, and this thing will be up and running again. But you know, new artwork from Phoenix Arcade, the marquee, the shroud, the CPO. I'm not sure where that's from actually, but anyways, a fun game. Kind of excited to get it back up and working again. So Tapper's next. So this is a kind of a rare one. Most people are used to seeing the Tapper with the bronze or the brass drink holders and the brass footrest down there. This is a root beer Tapper. So I actually looked for one of these for about 2 years. And funny story, kind of. So I was in Vegas with a couple of my friends, and we were having dinner with my wife and another couple, and I went to the bathroom, and like most of you guys know, in the bathroom checking my Facebook Marketplace, Ruber Tapper popped up 1 minute ago. So sent him a message, said okay, you can have it. So I actually got both of these games from the same guy, but went back to the table, told my wife, hey, I just bought a Ruber Tapper and also a pole position and also a Dragon's Lair, and also at the game I traded for the Space App. So anyways, just funny how the way things work. This guy had 4 games that I wanted that were on my top 5, and he wanted to sell, so it all worked out pretty good. This is one that will never leave. I actually wanted the Ruper Tapper. Got a lot of little kids, so I try not to make it like too beer themed. So I wanted to kind of keep that kind of stuff out of here a little bit. So anyways, the monitor was pretty burnt. Had a little bit of some issues, so swapped out the monitor. I still need to do a little bit of work. I need to switch out the lock on the coin door, but everything else works good. Cabinet, a little bit of water damage. The guy who applied the decals didn't do the best job in the world, so it's presentable, but definitely not the best game of my collection. So pole position, this one actually, it doesn't work, imagine that, but it's actually in fantastic physical condition. It's got the pole position 2 artwork on the side, but I've had this since last May, but I'm still waiting on a board set. So I've been looking for a working board set for a long time. I found a non-working board set on Clove like around September. I sent it off to the eBay guy to repair around November or December, and he had it for like a month and never got around to fixing it. So then I sent it off to Eugene Mosh. So Eugene Mosh is working on it right now. He's had it for about a month. So hopefully I'll get this thing up and running, so I can actually get this going for once. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. This is a project that I picked up about 1.5 years ago. It was completely beat. It was trashed, water damage everywhere. Everything was just looked disgusting. So what I did with this, I actually bought a new cabinet from Prince Arcades in Chicago. I traded a guy a pinball machine in Chicago, and he brought this down for me. So it just kind of worked out. I didn't have to drive to Chicago and get it. All new artwork, of course, but the monitor's original, all the hardware's original, the coin door's original, all that stuff's original. I put I capped the chassis. It's a K7000 2500. Capped that, and this is actually the only game. This was an X-Men originally. It was the only game in the whole arcade that doesn't have original hardware. So this is running off of an Arcade Pi, an R-Picade, I guess, from High Score Saves, I believe is where it came from. But what's nice about it is that these Konami cabinets are huge. So if you hold down both buttons, it's set to play Ninja Turtles initially. But if you hold down the buttons, you have actually every 4-player Konami arcade game. So you have X-Men, Spider-Man, both the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, NBA Jam, really anything you could think you'd want to play with 4 players, you have and can play. So it's nice. I don't have a reason to have any more of these cabinets, so this just made sense for me in this particular situation. So anyways, it's nice. This actually is one of the more popular ones. When people come over and play, they want to play Ninja Turtles. So this is one I remember from when I was a kid, and most people that are 30-ish like me, 35, played this when they were a little bit younger. So yeah, let's go over here. So this play choice, a lot of these games I picked up non-working. The play choice didn't work. The Donkey Kong didn't work. The Donkey Kong Jr. didn't work. The Donkey Kong 3 didn't work. None of these games worked when I got them. So I got them relatively cheap. I fixed them, and then you know, I was able to get something working with a minimal amount of investment originally. So this game is a little bit special to me. So a guy was advertising some bar top games. What are those things called? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, these bar top games. Anyways, and he had one of these in the background. So I messaged him and I'm like, hey, how much for this thing? And he's like, come get it, $400. I said, okay, I'll come get it. So I text my wife and I'm like, hey, I'm gonna get off work at 4 o'clock tonight. I'm gonna drive to Nashville, Tennessee, which is a 4.5-hour drive. I'm gonna pick this up and then come back. So that's what I did. Went down, picked this up for $400. It was non-working. And it ended up just being a power supply. So swapped out the power supply, got it working. When I pulled out the board, it was completely populated with like pretty much the best games you would want to play. So this has you know, Mega Man 3, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Rescue Rangers, Punch Out, Dr. Mario, really everything that you would want. So I still have a little bit of work I need to do to it eventually. I'd like to clean up the coin door a little bit. I'd like to probably swap out the monitor. The monitor is has a little bit of burn to it. But these are great games. It's because these are games that you know, people grew up playing Nintendo, you know, playing on their Nintendo. So I have it set to free play, so pretty much we'll play anything as long as you want. So the thing that I end up playing usually is Punch Out. So Punch Out seems to be a popular one. That's usually when I get guys together too. We'll be like boxing match. I tell my wife, hey, there's a boxing match going on. So we have some guys over. It's my excuse to have people over in the arcade. So we'll be watching Wilder and Fury and playing some Mike Tyson's Punch Out. So Donkey Kong, I got non-working from a guy over in St. Louis. He brought it over to me. It still needs some monitor work. I need to rejuvenate it and probably put in a cap kit as well. But it is working. Everything works fine. It just needs a little bit of love. I freshened it up with some new T-molding, put on some new side art. And like a lot of these games, they're just really dirty. So, you know, simple green and a magic eraser goes a long way. Rebuilding the joystick and the buttons and stuff also helps. So this Donkey Kong Jr. was actually, I picked it up from a warehouse in southern Missouri. It was pretty much stripped and it was turned into a 60-in-1 with an LCD monitor. So I tore all that stuff out. I went ahead and put in a 20EZ, which is a CRT. I got the original board from a guy up in Washington State. He shipped it out, so I converted this back. At the same time, I deconverted this. This was converted to a Mario Brothers. So I converted this into a Donkey Kong 3 from a Mario Brothers. The guy who did this actually had put like laminate on it, so it's a little bit different orange from this. It's actually a really nice cabinet. It's not original though, which I'm not a big fan of, but it seems to do the job. And all 4 of these Nintendo cabinets next to each other just look really, really nice. So once again, these Donkey Kongs, they don't get a lot of play, but they look good. So that's pretty much it. I've had, what else have I had? I've had a Dragon's Lair. I've got rid of it. I didn't really like it because it wasn't original. It wasn't playing on a laser disc. It was playing just gosh, what do you call that? Merlin card, I guess. I also had, like I said, a couple other projects. I've had a Galaga, didn't really get played, so I got rid of it. I had several other projects over the years and other games too, but if they don't get played by friends, then I just get rid of them because, you know, I enjoy playing with other people. I don't come down here by myself and sit down and play arcade games. It's usually about what everybody else likes. So that's kind of where we're at. The darts do get played on occasion. You know, this is an Arachnid. I picked this up in St. Louis. An older guy, refurbished this. I think I paid $300 for this thing, and my parents picked it up when they were coming up from Southern Missouri. But it's a fun one. I need to do some work to this jukebox. I'm going to lower it a little bit. I mounted a little bit too high. Put some CDs in it, but I think it matches the theme very well. So, also collect some neons. If you can't tell, I've kind of just gotten into that in the last 6 months. I've got 2 more in the garage. I've got a custom neon coming from a guy in Mount Vernon, actually, that used to work for Mount Vernon Neon. Yeah, it's fun. You know, the thing is that the problem is that I ran out of room. So when I ran out of room, I had to kind of think about other ways to spend my money to make this room look a little nicer or different. So that's what I did. So got a few more coming, and I'm about out of room for the neons as well. So we'll see what happens then. So I've been in the arcade thing, like I said, for about 5 or 6 years, and my mother-in-law said, "You need to get a pinball machine." And I said, "Nah, I don't need a pinball machine because they're expensive, and I don't like pinball, and I didn't grow up on pinball, so I didn't think I really enjoyed pinball." So she kept bugging me about it. So eventually I said, "Well, you know, if you really want a pinball machine, you can buy one, and you can keep it in my house." So that didn't go over too hot. So what we did was we actually we split our first pinball machine. So I kind of looked around for a long time, and I wasn't really sure what I wanted to buy. I thought about buying something that was a little bit cheaper, but anyways, I read the reviews, and I ended up in the perfect situation. So I bought Aerosmith, which I'll show you in just a second, from a guy up in Champaign, Illinois, and his name's Brock. He's on Pinside, but he was absolutely fantastic. So we went up there that night. He gave me a fantastic deal on it. It was like 9 months old, and I think it had like 200 plays on it or something. So I get to his house. My father-in-law and I went up there. I get to his house, and he has 5 music pins. He has AC/DC, he has Metallica, he has Kiss, Aerosmith, and maybe something else. But they're all like brand new, immaculate condition. And you know, I started talking to him, and he's like, "Hey, have you ever owned a pinball machine?" And I said, "No." And he just gave me a complete lowdown on how to take care of a pinball machine. So as soon as I met him, I knew that I made a good purchase, because he told me about how to clean it. He's like, "You know what, you got to take the glass off. You got to make sure you sweep out the play field first, and you got to wax it once a week, and you got to make sure the balls are clean, and you got to do this, and you got to do that." And the guy was just a perfectionist for sure. And I'm glad I bought my first machine from him because it was in perfect condition, but also like that mentality that he had kind of rubbed off on me as well. So I try to keep, you know, when you buy an arcade, like these are all from the 80s, and when I bought them, they were all turds, right? They all look like crap. They were broken. They were chipped. They were water damaged. They were scuffed. They were dirty. They were ugly. And that's part of the thing that I like about arcade machines is that, you know, I love finding them. I love fixing them. I love making them look good. I love all of that stuff. And I do like to play some of them. And I really all of them I like to play, but I don't love to play them, right? But what I found out about pinball and what's so nice about it is that they weren't made in 1982. Some of them were, but the good ones were made in the 90s. Some of the really great ones were made here recently. And, I enjoy playing them. If I'm gonna come down here on a weekday or something, I'm not playing Donkey Kong for the most part. I'm playing Aerosmith, I'm playing Willy Wonka, I'm playing Metallica, I'm playing my pinball machines. I'm fixing my arcade machines, which is fun and enjoyable, but over the years, arcades have left and pinballs have started to kind of come in. So most of the arcades I have will still stay, but there will be more and more pinball machines. And my wife and I are a few years away probably from building a new house, and we'll probably make an area for many arcades and many pinball machines as well. But the pinball machines seem to also kind of attract the attention when people come over. I like to have friends over. I like to have people that come and enjoy these, because that's part of the experience as well. Fixing them is great, playing them is great, but really seeing, my kids enjoy them. I hope to teach my kids to play them and fix them one day, but also just to have, the random person come over and see this and their eyes just light up because they think, oh my gosh, I played this when I was 10 with my dad, or I saw this was in my Pizza Hut, like this thing, like that's what originally got me into this. This thing was in my local pizza man in Mount Vernon, Illinois when I was a kid, and I thought about it for years, and eventually I got to the point where I was blessed enough to be able to afford one and buy one and fix one and be in the position that, this sickness took over, and now I've got all this stuff. But let's talk about the pinball machine. So the first one I got was Aerosmith. I believe this is a Stern game. I think it was from around 2016. So, when I first got this, I knew nothing about pinball really. And it's kind of funny that when my family came over, I think that the first night, the high score now is almost 500,000. But the first night we sat down and played, and it was like all of us were scoring like 4,000 or 4 million, 5 million points, something like that. But I used to think it was luck. You just shoot the ball around. But there's a story involved in every one of these pinball machines. There's a method to the madness, and the more you know about it, and the more you play it, the more you understand, and the more you enjoy it, for sure. So part of it's just playing against yourself. It's us against the machine, but also it's competing for high scores and stuff. My wife will be the first one to tell you that I like to win. I don't like to be fifth on the high score, and I just reset a lot of these high scores. But this got me started. So this was kind of an addiction, and this is a big investment compared to $100 Miss Pac-Man, or $300 for a Donkey Kong Jr. or whatever it was. But this is where, right now anyways, this is kind of where I really enjoy stuff. So Aerosmith was my first. My second, what was my second? Do you remember?
No.
I think that, I think my second was TNA. No, my second was Wizard of Oz, I think. So I bought a Wizard of Oz from actually NFL football player down in Nashville, Tennessee. And I saw, I have 4 kids. So I don't really get out a lot, right? So I don't go play pinball outside of my house. But I read about it, watched a lot of videos and stuff, and I thought Wizard of Oz is where it's at, because my wife will like it, my kids will like it, and it was cool, but it just didn't draw me in like this thing did. So after a while, we got rid of it. I got a TNA, Total Nuclear Annihilation, Scott Denisi game for Spooky Pinball, and I drove up to Cincinnati, Ohio to get that, and it was one of those things too that I thought I would enjoy, and I did enjoy it for a little bit, but it just wasn't a keeper. These games will never leave. Every one that you see here, I've got like a special attachment to, whatever it may be. Maybe I really enjoy it. Maybe a family member really enjoys it. Maybe it's something that I've got a story behind. But these games will never leave. I had a Ghostbusters for a while, Stern Ghostbusters. Beautiful game, but just it was really hard. It was something that that a lot of people, the casual person in particular, couldn't enjoy. So out of all these games, I think that Metallica maybe came next. This game, actually, these two came together. So I drove over to Kansas City and picked this up. Metallica, it's a Stern game. One of the best, I think it's rated number 6 on Pinside, something like that. It's got the color DMD. It's got several mods, some LED mods and speaker mod, plastic protectors, some other things going on with it. But anyways, I picked this up from a guy in Kansas City. He was the second owner, so I'm actually the third owner of this. But I really don't buy a pinball machine unless it's in really good condition. So where I will buy an arcade that's kind of, it's junk. I won't buy a pinball that's junk because it takes a lot more time to fix a pinball machine, a lot more time. And that's something I just don't have a lot of the time is the ability to come down here and spend dozens of hours fixing a pinball machine. But Metallica is a fun one. It's, Metallica and Aerosmith are fast games. And, the average game may last 3 or 4 minutes. And those are fun for sure. So I like that there's a nice variation or a nice different. All the games are different, and that's what's great about this lineup that I have. So the Hobbit, I actually picked up the same trip. I got this Aerosmith. Different people actually, but I drove over to Kansas City to meet both of these guys. The Hobbit was a game that I thought I would want, and I love this game. This is maybe. This is maybe my second favorite right now. This is my wife's favorite, kind of the family favorite. What's great about this game is that it's made by JJP. This is Jersey Jack Pinball Machine. This is the Smog LE, and it has really long ball times, and it's really fun because you're not just shoot the ball around and the game's over in 2 or 3 minutes. It's a journey, just like The Hobbit, right? It's a journey. You're going on a journey. You're trying to defeat Smog. You're trying to get across the Shire. You're trying to do a lot of different things at one time. You've got a lot of different multi-balls going on, and it's something that a novice can stand up to and sit and play and have a really good time. And the screen, with the screen, everybody can sit and watch someone else play and learn, and also just kind of have a good time. So this is one of my favorite machines for sure. This one will absolutely never leave. I think this is the heaviest pinball machine ever made, which is always fun trying to get these things down in the basement. My in-laws are fantastic. My brother-in-law is fantastic. I got a buddy that comes over and helps me as well, but it's not easy to take a 450-pound pinball machine down the stairs. But yeah, that's been a fun one. But the two newest ones would be Indiana Jones and Willy Wonka. So this Indiana Jones is something I've wanted for a long time. This is considered one of the best pinball machines of all time. So this is an older one. This is a 1993 Bally Williams. I actually drove up to Chicago, which is a 5-hour drive for me, back last summer, about 9 months ago, to pick one up from a guy. And I got up there, and it was just a piece of junk. The guy told me, just kind of fed me a line that was not accurate. I got up there. He wanted more for it than he told me, and then when I got up there, it was a piece of junk. So I had to turn around and I left, which is unfortunate. But I got the opportunity. I don't remember. Was it January? I think around January this year. I got the opportunity to drive over to Ohio. I picked this one up, and this had been in the same lady's basement for about 23 years, I think is what they told me. So, it's not perfect, but it's pretty damn close. So, it's got some fading on the edges. I went ahead and upgraded all the lighting to LEDs, so everything's LED inside. The playfield's in really good condition, and that's what really matters for me. Like, a lot of the things can be fixed, But to swap out a play field is time consuming, it's expensive. It's not something that at this point in my life I want to do. Eventually when I get older and I got time, my kids are older and I've got a workshop and stuff, that's something I'll do. But right now, I want the play field in good condition. I swapped out the rubbers, I swapped out the LEDs. I'll probably put a color DMD in this, do a few other things. But this, maybe put brass on these things like you see on a lot of these indies. But it's a game that just plays so much different. If you stand up next to a Stern, a modern Stern, and you go to a Bally Williams wide body like this, and then you go to a JJP like this, they're just different, and it's a good thing. I think that to keep some variety in your lineup. So the newest game I've got is this Willy Wonka. So I got this from a guy up in Chicago. I got really lucky. I'd pre-ordered an LE, and I changed my mind and wanted to get an SE. And by the time I changed my mind, I got the SE. They weren't making them anymore, so I kind of got put in a bind a little bit on what it was available. So that was like last February or March, whenever that was announced. And then, May went by, June, July, August, September, and they still weren't even on to the collector's edition. Excuse me, the collector's editions. So I just kind of gave up. So I gave up. I got my deposit back from Flipping Out Pinball, which is the guy over there was great at flipping out. But I had picked up a Pirates of the Caribbean, JJP Pirates of the Caribbean limited edition over in St. Louis from a guy, and it's a game I always wanted, but prices went way up after it came out. So I bought it. I played it for like 3 weeks or so, and then I got in contact with a guy up in Chicago, and he wanted to do a trade plus cash. So I traded that plus cash for this. He gave me this plus cash for my Pirates. We met halfway. It was just kind of a good deal. So I think everybody was happy when the day was over. But this has been one that I've wanted, like I said, for about a year, and I think it's been a good investment. I think everybody's really liked this game. So this is one that as well that will stay. This isn't going anywhere. So that's pretty much it. I think that's pretty much the game room. I've got an off-road over here project. It actually was really disgusting when I got it. I got a new control panel, new wheels, all that stuff. I got some new ROMs burnt because I had an issue with ROMs. So I just need to get it back up in the lineup. I've got of course, like everybody else in this, I've got shells of parts and stuff that just kind of come along with the hobby. But also got a storage unit of 15 CRTs, and I got a Atari System 1 that I haven't decided what I'm going to do with, a couple other things. But this is it, and I've been wanting to do this for I don't know, a year or so or more. It's not perfect, but I want everybody to kind of see what I got. I think I like to hear people's stories about where they got their games, how much they paid for their games, what got them in the hobby, all those sorts of things. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and if you have any questions, just comment below and I'll try to get back to you. Thanks.
Guess what?
What?
I wasn't recording.
Oh, whatever, you're lying.